bit wobbly. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, also known as the Fat Funny One. And hello, I just had some spicy noodles. Welcome back to my channel. I always do these intros and never know how to introduce my channel, but yeah, welcome to the wild side. I am going to do a bit of a random one today, but it is books that TikTok made me buy. I've read some of them already, so I'm going to review some of them, and others I haven't read, but I'll show you what I've bought. So let me just jump straight into it because I love reading. Like, I've always loved reading. I'm obsessed with books. I'm obsessed with reading. I get so engrossed in the story and the characters. I think about them for ages. Like, even now, like, I think, oh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing. Not real. They're not real, Jess, but they're real to me in my heart. So let me, yeah, jump straight in. So I'm going to start with what I'm reading now. So I'm currently reading 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I'm in love with this book so far. It's not like a desperate page turner for me. I'm not like, I need to know what's happened next, but I'm definitely like engrossed in it, engrossed in the storyline, engrossed in the whys and the hows and the characters, like, completely. It's not like a thriller page turny. I need, like, you know, that desperation where you literally fly through a book and you're so tempted to go to the back page. It's not necessarily like that, but it's definitely a really engrossing, beautiful story of like love and Hollywood. And it's basically about this lady called Evelyn Hugo who's had 7 husbands, and it's like about her love, basically her love story and her life. And yeah, it's amazing. She meets a journalist that she wants to tell her story, and there's a connection there that I haven't got to yet, which is, I guess, part of the like hook. So I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely one of the recommended books that TikTok has made me buy that I'm loving so far. So it's a yes from me, and I will do a final review of it once I've finished. I do mini reviews on my Instagram. So if you head over to my Instagram at the Fat Funny One, there on my highlights, there's the book reviews, and I just do a quick summary. So if you just want a quick idea or some inspo or some recommendations on books, head over there. But so far, so good. The next one, which I think I was reading when I recorded a last video, is We Were Liars. And I don't know, I've got so many mixed reviews. I've read so many mixed reviews. Like, I kind of loved it, but I didn't really love it. It's the first book I've ever read that I feel would be better as a movie. Like, the bit in it that's a bit unpredictable and the bit in it that's kind of like, what? That bit I think would have dropped so much better in a movie than, I guess, reading. The title of it, though, I was looking at some TikTok videos of reviews and like reading what other people thought about it, and it was only then that I clicked about the title and how it fits, and then I was like, oh. And then it did give it kind of another level of like, this is a really clever book, it's really clever writing, but it wasn't necessarily one that I loved. I didn't fall in love with any of the characters, I didn't fall in love with the storyline, but it was a bit of a, I wanted to keep reading because I was really intrigued about what was going on. But yeah, I kind of recommend it, but don't really. But I do think it's incredibly written and really clever writing, and maybe it was just above my head for what it was. But yeah, We Were Liars. That's okay. It's all right. Now, for one that I haven't read yet, It Ends With Us by Coleen Hoover. I've not read this yet. You can tell. Look, I love a fresh book. I cannot express how many people have said this book is amazing. It's like heartbreaking, gut-wrenching. I need a bit of that in my life. I cannot wait to read it. The only problem with that is my expectations are sky high, and sometimes that can leave you pretty devastated when the book doesn't quite meet expectations. So I'm kind of letting the hype of it die down a little bit before I dive in, so that my expectations kind of get lowered a little bit. But I'm looking forward to getting it. It will also be my first Coleen Hoover book, which I'm looking forward to getting into because apparently she is amazing. My next TikTok made me buy is Where the Crawdads Sing. I adored this book. Now, it was a slow start. It's basically about this girl, a young girl called the Marsh Girl. She gets abandoned. There's a lot of family abandonment, and it's a really dark and quite sad story, and you kind of fall in love with her. The ending is just, oh my gosh, it's heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, but just so beautifully written. And I fell so in love with her, and it was just so well done. But the first few chapters was really slow. I was kind of trudging through it, but I'd read so many good things and heard so many good things. I was like, I have to get to where it gets good. And probably about a third of the way in, I was like hooked. I read it in like 2 days. I just adored it. So yeah, Where the Crawdads Sing, TikTok recommendation, highly recommended by me. I gave it 4 stars on my mini review, but only because it was a slow start. But apart from that, just probably one of my best books I've ever read. Another one I've not read yet is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Now, this is supposed to be a pretty quick read. It's quite a short book, but everyone keeps going on about it. I'm not really sure what it's about. It says Nora's life's been going from bad to worse, and then at the stroke of midnight, her last day on Earth, she finds herself transported to a library where she's given a chance to undo her regrets and try out each of the lives she might have lived. Oh, this sounds good. See, I just buy stuff because people say to buy stuff. I didn't even know what it was about. So yeah, I might get this as my next read because The Seven Husbands is quite a chunky read, and I kind of, if I do a big meaty read, I try and go for something a bit short and a quick read after, so I might go for this one. But I've heard really good things, so I'm looking forward to getting into this one. Now, another book that was really recommended, and I don't know, it's this one. It's Girl, Woman, Other. This, I have such a love-hate relationship with this book. Not hate, because that's really deep, but I loved the characters in this book. Like, you fall in love with them, their stories, their journeys, you get to know how people are intertwined, and it was just incredible. However, it's written with no punctuation, so there's like no speech marks, no kind of like full stops. It's really, I found that really difficult to read, just on a practical level. And I'm not sure whether that's just me, but I really, really struggled. Once I kind of got used to it, I was fine, and I was so in love with the characters that I didn't really mind. But I realised there wasn't really a story it was following, although you don't think there is, and then the ending's like, oh my gosh. But it wasn't a book that I've read before. It wasn't the style of book I've read before, which is like an obvious plot and an obvious storyline, if that makes sense. So I kind of struggled, and I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which is probably a bit harsh because it's written incredibly in terms of the characters and really picturing them and their backgrounds, and it almost makes you think about all the people that you meet day to day and just how much we don't know about each other and the backgrounds and how people get to where they are and who they really are. And I found that really eye-opening. It was quite thought-provoking, but I struggled with the punctuation side of it. But brilliant, brilliant read. I would still recommend. And the last 2 books I'm going to talk about, I will pop a picture somewhere here. One was The Silent Patient. Honestly. So basically the book is about a lady who kills her husband, and then after she does it, she just stops talking, goes completely silent. And it's basically about the psychiatrist and talking from the psychiatrist's perspective of how he's going to crack her. He wants her to speak. He's going to get the story out of her about what happened. It is hands down one of the most unpredictable reads I've ever read. I was hooked. I read it in 24 hours because I was so desperate to understand. I wanted to know what she was going to say. Was she going to speak? What was she going to do? What happened? Why did she kill him? Like, I was so invested, and I kid you not, I got to a point in the book where I went, oh my gosh, like shouted out loud. I just was so shocked. It's such a good read. I've recommended it so many times, and everyone I've recommended it to so far has messaged me at that point and gone, oh my gosh. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant read. It's a thriller, it's quite dark, but if that's your thing, you will love it. Love it. Brilliant read, The Silent Patient. And then the last one I'm going to talk about, which has probably been my favourite read. I know I've just said that one was my favourite, but like so many of them, but this, for so many different reasons. It's 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I'm going to put a picture somewhere here. Oh, I was so hooked. Another 24-hour read for me. It is about 2 black authors who have got a past and they reconnect again, and you kind of get thrown back into when they met and the story of their history and then kind of the present. It's a really amazing celebration of black love. It was really nice to have 2 black leads in the story as well. It's really modern and fresh and funny and heartbreaking. I cried, I laughed, literally laughed out loud. Tia Williams, genius, like 5-star all round. It's a little bit spicy as well. There was a bit in it and I was like, Mama needs a minute. It was so good, like genuinely. Probably I gave it 5 stars. And again, another book I've recommended and people are reading it going, that was good. Beautiful book, beautiful book. And you're so, again, like, it's one of those books where I'm so invested in the characters. I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're doing now. Shane, like, you read that and you just know Shane is fine. Like, I'm obsessed with him, fancy him, love him, and he's not even a real person. Don't even know what he looks like, but in my head I know what he looks like. Just a fantastic read. TikTok made me buy it. Thank you, TikTok, because it was just brilliant. I looked for Black authors. I wanted to really diversify what I was reading. I've got a pretty diverse bookshelf anyway in terms of authors, but I really wanted to discover some new ones, and this was one of those books that came up on like Black author recommendations, and it chef's kiss, brilliant read. Those are kind of my books so far. I have got the most epic pile of books to read. My goal was to read 22 books in 2022, which does include Audible and listening to a few books. And I'm listening to, I don't know why, but I prefer to listen to non-fiction. I find it easier because it's more conversational and factual, and I like to read fiction. I think with reading fiction, there's no voice that kind of guides to what you imagine the characters to sound or look like. And when you read that, it's all your own. It's all your own, I guess, narrative or creation of those characters. And that's why I kind of like doing it that way. So 22 books of 2022. I think I'm on book 7 now. 7 Husbands is my 7th book. And I'm loving it. I've probably got about 40 books to read though, so if I can smash my goal, I really hope I do. I'm absolutely loving this reading journey. Do join me. Let me know what your favourite read is so far this year. If you've got a reading challenge or a target you want to hit, and any book recommendations, although maybe not book recommendations because I've got enough to read, and I like, as soon as you recommend it, I'm like, okay, I'll buy it, and I'm good to go. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this video and the recommendations. Let me know if you do buy any that I've recommended and you love them too. And yeah, take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want me to do another one of these in a few months or I'm a few more books down, then let me know. Take care. Bye.